Welcome everyone. I'm Sarah and this is yoga. So we are going to start on our backs today as we so often do. It's my favorite starting position for yoga. So go ahead and lie down on your mats and come into whatever comfortable position you choose. So you can have those knees bent. You can have the legs straight. If your knees are bent, you can have them pointing straight up toward the ceiling. You can walk your feet out towards the edges of the mat, letting the knees rest in against each other. Or you can bring the soles of your feet together and let the knees open out to the sides, opening up the inner thighs and the hips. And we'll just spend a few moments here to start to connect with our breath, taking some nice deep inhales and exhales. And just letting go of everything else. And let's all go ahead and bend our knees now. Walking the feet out towards the edges of the mat so the knees resting against each other. Moving the arms away from the body a little bit, and we'll start our windshield wipers. So just taking those knees from side to side, going back and forth at your own pace. Let's take a couple more on each side. And we'll bring those knees into the center when we're done, walking the feet in towards each other. Taking the arms all the way out into a T position, and then we'll drop both knees to the right for a lying spinal twist, keeping both of our shoulders on the mat. Maybe turning the head to look down the left arm. And releasing, bring the knees and the head up to center, dropping those knees to the left. And maybe looking down the right arm. And we'll start to move with our breath, inhaling knees up to center, exhaling them over to the right, inhaling them to center, and then exhaling them to the left. And we'll just continue to move with your breath at your pace. So you can leave your feet on the mat or pick them up. You can keep your head still or look in the opposite direction of the knees as you twist. Keeping both of our shoulders on the mat the whole time. Moving at our own breath's pace. Let's take a couple more to each side. Bringing the knees into center when we're done. Hugging them into the chest, giving them little squeeze. Let's open those knees up a little bit so they're just on the outside of the torso. Reaching the arms between the legs. You can either grab onto your ankles or your feet, or take the first two fingers and thumb of your hands, wrapping them around the big toes. And then we'll reach those feet up toward the ceiling for happy baby. Pressing that tailbone down towards the mat. And then if you like, you can gently rock this pose from side to side. And you don't have to move this pose if you don't want to. Returning to center if you're moving this pose, pressing that tailbone down again, extending the right leg out long. Bending the right knee and then extending the left leg out long. Bending the left knee and then extending both legs out. Keep pressing that tailbone down towards the mat. And release, hugging the knees into the chest again. And then let's bring the soles of our feet together, grabbing a hold of our ankles or calves. And then we'll pull our feet in towards us, using our elbows to push the knees away from us. So we're coming into a lying down version of Khanasana, butterfly pose. And then we'll release that, hugging the knees into the chest again. This time, if you like, take some rocks from side to side, just kind of massaging that low back. Placing hands on top of the kneecaps and then circling those knees around, first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Returning to center, either rolling onto your side and making your way up to a seat that way or grabbing a hold behind the knees and using your legs to rock up into any comfortable seat you choose. So you could sit cross-legged if you like, or you can extend the legs out in front of you. You can sit on a blanket if you happen to have one. Sitting up nice and tall, we'll roll our shoulders up, back, and down. Dropping the chin down towards the chest. Bringing the head back up to neutral. Dropping the right ear towards the right shoulder, keeping your shoulders down. Keeping that head tilt, let's just rotate the head, dropping the chin down towards that right shoulder. Turning the head to look forward again. And then bringing that head back up to neutral. Dropping the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Turning the head to drop the chin down towards the left shoulder. Turning the head to look forward again. And then bringing that head back up to neutral. Drawing the chin slightly in towards the throat, so engaging our throat block or Jalandhara Bandha. So draw it in, kind of create a little bit of that double chin. Keeping that chin drawn in, turning the head to look over the right shoulder. So we're keeping that chin level with the floor, drawn in slightly towards the throat. And then we'll come through center, keeping that chin drawn in, looking over the left shoulder. Do one more to each side, keeping Jalandhara Bandha engaged. And then one more time, looking over the left shoulder. Returning to center, placing the hands behind the head and then looking all the way up, supporting the weight of the head with the hand. And releasing that, taking some shoulder circles. First to the front. Nice circles here. Releasing some of the tension you've built up in your shoulders throughout the day. Let's take one more to the front and then we'll circle to the back. Opening up the chest and the front of the shoulders. Let's do one more here, leaving those shoulders back and down, placing hands on knees, circling that torso around in the hips. Inhaling as we bring the chest to the front, exhaling as we round the spine to the back. Moving with your breath at your pace. Feel free to keep your eyes closed, making these circles as large or as small as they need to be. Taking one more circle in this direction, and then we'll pause. Circle around in the opposite direction again, inhaling to the front, exhaling to the back. Moving with your breath. Let's take one more here. And we'll come back to center, bringing the soles of our feet together, coming into Khanasana again, this time sitting upright, holding onto the ankles, inhaling, lengthening the spine up, exhaling as we fold. And so you can take your elbows and press into your knees again, just like we did when we were lying down. Releasing that fold, sliding the feet out double the distance away from us for star pose, making sort of a diamond shape with your legs. Again, holding onto ankles or shins, inhaling, lengthening the spine up, exhaling as we fold, bending those elbows out to the sides, hinging from the hips. And releasing. Let's make our way to all fours for some cat and cows. So we'll bring the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees into the hips. Fingers are spread wide. You can pad your knees with a blanket if you've got one, or just make a little fold in your mat. Inhaling, dipping the belly down, looking up in the top. Exhaling, arching the spine, tucking the shoulder pelvis under into cat, moving with your breath at your pace. Inhaling and exhaling. Just warming up that spine. Keeping the elbows a little soft. Core is engaged, pelvic floor is lifted. Let's take a couple more here. And then we'll come into a neutral spine. And so we're going to start to make little circles with our hips. So let's circle clockwise to start. So we'll come a little bit forward, take it to the side, come to the back, and to the other side. So maybe start to gradually increase the size of these circles. If that feels okay for your body today, you can come as far back as like almost sitting all the way down onto your heels if you like. You can come forward of your wrists, bring those shoulders a little forward of your wrists if that feels okay for those wrists. Let's take a couple more in this direction. And then we'll come back to neutral and then start to circle counterclockwise. So to the left. And again, start small. And then maybe if that feels okay, start to make these little circles a little bit bigger, a little bit more exaggerated. Let's take a few more here. And then we'll stop our movement and then just sink the hips back towards the heels to come into a child's pose. So Any version that you like, you can extend the arms out to the front of the mat. You could stack your hands or fists and rest the forehead on them, or bring your hands back by your feet with your palms facing up. Your knees can stay together, or you can separate them out if you like. Just try to find as comfortable a child's pose as you can. And if this is not comfortable for you at all, you can modify by coming into puppy pose. So similar to child's pose, except your knees would be in a 90-degree angle. So your bottom would be kind of more up in the air. So just remembering as we move through the practice today, this is your practice. I'm your guide, but if there's something that we do that doesn't work for your body today, please skip it or modify it as needed. Always just listening to your own body, staying with your breath, and staying in the present moment. So you can rest in your child's pose a little longer if you need to, or if you're ready, make your way into downward dog. Planting the hands at the front of the mat, shoulder width apart, fingers spread wide. We'll come forward and tuck the toes, lifting the hips up and back, coming into Ardha Khanasana, downward facing dog. So if you like, you can make some movements in this first downward dog. So you might want to pedal out your feet, or shake your head out, or take one leg up in the three-legged dog at a time, pivot your heels from side to side, whatever movements feel good to you today. You could be still. That might be your option that you want to take today. That's fine too. And then if you are moving the pose, once you're done with those movements, just kind of find that place of stillness in your downward dog. Tucking the chin and looking back between the legs, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Breathing here. And then we'll look up at the hands and just walk the feet up to the hands. Coming into forward fold. Feet are hip width apart. We'll soften our knees, grabbing opposite elbows, letting that upper body just hang. And shake the head out from side to side. Take it front to back. Sway the whole torso from side to side. We'll return to center, releasing elbows, placing hands on shins of eyes, extending the spine, looking forward. Take a few deep breaths here. On your next exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan down from all the way up. Exhaling the hands into the heart. And releasing the arms down into Tadasana Mountain Pose. And we'll take a nice big step out to the side for some moonflowers and sunflowers. So nice wide stance, toes turn out about 45 degrees. Inhaling as we reach the corners of the room. Exhaling, bending the knees, bringing the elbows into our sides. And inhale, reach it up and out. Exhale, bend. Couple more here, inhale. And exhale. Last one. And exhale, transition into sunflowers. Inhale, reach the arms all the way, palms touch. Exhale, bend the knees, circle the arms down and around as we fold. And inhale brings us back up. Exhaling as we fold. Couple more here, inhale. And exhale. Last one. Exhale down, leaving our hands down. So you can bring in a block if you need a little extra height. You can widen your stance. Keep the toes turned out. We're going to oil our hip joints, so we're just going to bend one knee at a time, going back and forth. You can leave your hands in the center or walk them from side to side. Just moving pretty slowly and mindfully here. You might hear some clicking, cracking, joint noises. Not too much to worry about if it's just noises. If there's pain, then that's your body's way of telling you there's something wrong. Let's take one more to each side. And then when we're done, we'll come back to center, bending both of the knees, walking the hands up to the thighs, and then bringing the hands into the heart, stacking the shoulders over the hips. Breathing here. And release, inhaling it up, straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead, turning towards the front of the mat, stepping the back foot up to the front, and releasing the hands to the heart. And then releasing the arms down into Tadasana Mountain Pose. So I'm going to go ahead and remove a layer before we start our sun salutations, because I know I'm going to want to have one less layer on. So we're going to do a sun salutation where we kind of pause in the middle of it and drop into lizard. We're kind of focusing a little bit on hips today. If you don't want to do that version today, if you just want to do more moving, flowing sun salutation, your own favorite version of the warm up, then do that instead. Starting near the top of the mat, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling, swan, dive down, forward fold with soft knees, hands reach for the mat. We'll step the right foot back and drop that right knee down to the mat. Bringing the left hand to the instep side or the right of your left foot, keeping the arms straight and extended, or maybe starting to bend the elbows, lowering the chest down towards the mat. And we'll hang here for just a couple of breaths. And then we'll move on, taking the left foot to the back for downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward into plank, shoulders over the wrists, stay on your toes or drop your knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Lower down, inhale, lift the heart, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. If it gets stuck partway, just help it get all the way there. Stay on the toes or drop the left knee. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale them down, taking the left foot up to the front, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale the hands into the heart. And we'll repeat that on the other side. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold with soft knees. Left foot steps back this time. Dropping that left knee, bringing the right hand to the left of the foot, to the instep side of your foot. Keeping the arms extended or bending the elbows and lowering down. Holding here for a couple more breaths. And we'll come out of this, stepping the right foot back, downward dog or child's pose. Inhale forward to plank, shoulders over wrists, stay on the toes or drop the knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the left foot up by the hands, helping it get there if it gets stuck. Stay on toes or drop the right knee. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhaling them down, taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale the hands into the heart. Do that once more on each side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold the soft knees. Right foot steps back. Dropping that right knee, bringing the left hand to the right of the foot. Keep the arms straight or bend the elbows and lower down. Holding it here for a few breaths. Maybe sinking a little deeper than you did the first time through. And we'll release, taking the left foot back. Downward dog or child's pose. Inhale the plank, shoulders over wrists, stay on toes or drop the knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. Stay on toes or drop your left knee. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, release, taking the left foot up to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale the hands into the heart. And once more on the left, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold the soft knees. Left foot steps back. Drop that left knee, bring the right hand to the left of the foot. Moving into our lizard, keep the arms straight or bend the elbows and lower the chest down towards the mat. And we'll release, taking the right foot to the back. Downward dog or child's pose. Inhale the plank, shoulders over wrists, stay on toes or drop the knees. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the left foot up by the hands. Stay on toes or drop the right knee, inhaling, reaching it up. Exhale, release, taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale the hands into the heart. And releasing the arms down by the sides, standing nice and tall in Tadasana, mountain pose. Taking a few deep breaths here. You need some open mouth exhales. Be my guest. Maybe create a little audible sigh with that exhale. Letting it go. Let's inhale, reach it up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold with the soft knees. Stepping the right foot to the back. We'll turn that foot out 45 degrees, dropping the heel. Keeping the left knee bent, walking up the left leg for Virabhadrasana Echo Warrior One. So if you like, you can adjust your hips a little bit in this pose, using the right hand to gently guide the right hip forward, tailbone releases down, and then whatever arms you like for your warrior today. So I like to bring my arms overhead and have them parallel to each other. Some people like to bring their palms together overhead or bend the elbows 90 degrees and take cactus arms. You could also bring your hands into the heart or just leave them right on your hips, whatever works for you today. If you are extending the arms up, relax those shoulders down away from the ears. Breathing here. Let's open this up to the side, coming into Warrior Two. So we'll spin that back foot out, up to 90 degrees, reaching the arms out parallel to the floor, relaxing the shoulders down, making sure the left knee is pointing straight over the left toes. Straightening out the left leg, shifting hips back as you reach for the front of the room, dropping that left hand down, resting on the leg, on a block, or on the mat. Right arm can extend up toward the ceiling. You could rest on your side. You could bring it behind the back. So moving into Utthita Trikonasana triangle pose. And then let's use our strong core muscles to stand it back up. Releasing the hands to the hips. Turning the left foot in so it is parallel with the right. You could also be slightly pigeon-toed if that feels better for your ankles. With hands on hips, inhaling and lengthening the spine up. Exhaling as we fold. Releasing the hands down to the mat or a block. Once you're down, you may bend your knees, you may widen your stance. Just try and keep those feet at either parallel or pigeon-toed. And then we'll walk the hands out a little bit so that the weight comes a little more forward in the feet and the heels start to feel a little lighter. The spine lengthens here. And then on our next exhale, deep in the fold, maybe walk the hands back through the legs, maybe release the top of the head to a block or to the mat. Don't worry if your head does not come anywhere close to that though. It's not necessary to do that, to get your head down. And we'll release. We're going to walk the hands back out. We'll lift the head. Take a few deep breaths here. And then we're going to walk the hands back around to the front of the mat, turning the feet so they face the front, and then dropping that right knee down. So hopefully you had a wide enough stance so that you wound up in a really great position where your left knee is stacked over your left ankle and the right knee is behind the right hip. If not, separate your feet a little bit so that you have that nice position, and then we'll walk our way up the left leg, clasping the hands together on top of the thigh, sinking the hips down towards the earth. And then we'll release, bring the hands to the mat. We're going to come into our lizard again, which we did in our sun salutation. This time I'm going to give you a few more options for you to try. We're going to start by bringing the left hand to the right of the foot. So just like before, you can keep your arms straight, or you can bend the elbows and lower the forearms down. You can bring in a block and rest your forearms on the block, or bring them all the way down to the mat if that's available to you today and you want to do that. You can leave this left foot where it is, or if you want, you can walk it out towards the left side of the mat so there's a little bit more room for your torso. And then you can stay on the sole of the foot with the foot flat, or you can rock to the outside edge of that foot, letting that knee kind of wing out to the side. You can even create a little bit of movement, rocking from the sole of the foot to the outside edge of the foot and back again. So find what works for you and that hip today, knowing that it might be different on the other side because we are not symmetrical as much as we wish we were, but we are not. And so we'll stop whatever movement we're making if we are making it. Come back up to the palms if we lowered. And then we're going to heel toe this left foot all the way across the mat over to the right side, moving into Kapotasana, Pigeon Pose, bringing the left knee down on the left side of the mat. You might need to let that lower leg kind of tuck underneath you a little bit. You can keep that lower leg parallel to the front of the mat if that's available to you today. If this is really not a comfortable pose for you today, you can roll over onto your back and take a figure four, crossing your left ankle of your right thigh and reaching it through, pulling on the right leg. If you're staying in pigeon, keeping those hips level, using something to prop underneath the left hip, or just using your arms to stabilize you, and then folding when ready, resting the forehead on a block, on your hands, or on the mat. And we'll release, making our way back into downward facing dog. Planting the hands at the front of the mat, tucking the right toes under, lifting those hips up and back. From here, we'll step the right foot up by the hands, turning the left foot out 45 degrees, dropping the heel, keeping that right knee bent, walking up the right leg for warrior one on the other side. So again, if you want to adjust your hips, using your left hand, gently guiding that left hip forward, leveling those hips out, and then whatever arms you want for your warrior on this side. Let's open it up into warrior two, spinning that back foot out a little bit more, making sure the right knee stays pointed over the right toes. Shoulders are stacked over the hips and relaxed away from the ears. Straightening out the right leg, shifting hips back as we reach for the front, dropping that right hand down to the leg, a block or the mat, coming into triangle. Left arm can extend up toward the ceiling. You can rest it on your side or bring it behind your back. Then using those strong core muscles, stand it all the way back up. Releasing the hands to the hips, turning that right foot in so it is level or parallel to the left, or even a little bit pigeon toed if that feels better for you. With hands on hips, inhaling, lengthening the spine up, exhaling as we fold. Releasing the hands down, bending your knees if you need to, bringing in a block, whatever you need to do, widening your stance. And then let's walk the hands off the side of the mat a little bit so the weight comes forward in the feet, the spine lengthens here. On your next exhale, maybe walk the hands back through, releasing the head down towards the mat. You bring in a block if your head is close but not quite there and you just want that sensation of resting on the top of the head. And this is actually a preparatory pose for a tripod headstand. So sometimes you'll see folks get into this pose and then they'll take their legs up and come into a headstand. I'm not going to do one today, but just to let you know what your options are. Let's walk the hands back out, lifting the head, taking a few deep breaths here. And then we'll walk the hands around to the front, turning the feet, lowering the left knee down, bringing in whatever padding you might need for that knee, making sure the right knee is stacked over the right ankle in the front and the left knee is behind the left hip in the back. And then we'll walk our way up this right leg, clasping hands together on top of the thigh, lifting the chest, sinking the hips. And let's release, bringing the hands to the mat again. Taking the right hand to the left of your foot, to the instep side. So moving into that lizard on this side. Again, any of those options that I gave you on the first side, you could do the same on this side. You could do something completely different. So again, you can stay up on your palms with the arms straight, or you can lower the elbows down towards the mat or block. Leaving your foot where it is or walking it out towards the right side of the mat. Keeping your foot flat on the floor or rolling to the outside edge of that foot, maybe creating a little gentle and mindful movement. So we never want to, when we're moving a pose, to move super quickly. We always want to be really mindful. And if you move quickly, best case scenario, your body's just gonna lock up and prevent you from injuring yourself. Worst case, you'll injure yourself. So it's always best to move really mindfully and slowly into these pretty, what can be fairly intense stretches. All right, stopping whatever movement we're making, coming up to the sole of the foot, coming up to the palms again. Let's heel toe the right foot all the way over to the left side of the mat. And then bringing that knee down on the right side, letting that lower leg tuck underneath you. Maybe taking that figure four on your back if you need to, maybe propping underneath the right hip, and then folding, resting the head on your hands on a blocker on the mat. And we'll release. Making our way back into downward dog, tucking the left toes under, lifting the hips up and back. And then from there, we'll drop the knees, coming to all fours. So we're going to do one more pretty intense hip opener. We're going to do frog. If you don't want to do frog today, it can be a little bit intense. If that's kind of not in the plan for you today, you can choose to do Khanasana, butterfly pose again. You could do garland pose, malasana, which is just a low squat. Okay. If you are choosing to do frog, what we're going to do is rotate ourselves 90 degrees so that our knees are still on the mat, but our hands are not. They should be kind of off the side of your mat a little bit. So I'm going to face this way so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. It's easier to see from the back. And then we're going to start to walk the knees apart, turning the feet out as we do. And we want to make sure all of our leg joints are kind of in a 90-degree angle. So knee, ankle, and hip, well, hip can be slightly different from the 90-degree, but knee and ankle definitely in 90-degree angles. And then once you've kind of brought those knees out as far as they'll go, we can lower down to the elbows. And then from here, if you want, you can start to bring your hips back towards your heels. And this is where this gets really intense. So go slowly and mindfully. Breathing into the stretch, breathing into your hips. And we'll start to make our way out of this. So coming back up to the palms if we lower, and then we'll bring the toes together and then pick the knees up and hop them in together. And then we'll rotate back around so we're all on our mats. And then come into a child's pose, sinking the hips back toward the heels, taking any version you like with your arms. I would recommend you keep your knees together though, since we just did a pretty intense hip opener. We want to give our hips a little break from that. And then we'll come up to a seat, taking the legs around to the front, coming into staff pose, Dandasana, extending the legs out long. You can move some of the flesh out from underneath your sit bones. You can elevate your hips on a blanket. You can grab your strap if you want to have it handy for our next pose. Flexing the feet, inhaling, reaching arms up, exhaling as we fold, hinging from the hips. So reaching for your feet, ankles, shins, or thighs, or using your strap to extend your reach, looping it around the bottoms of the feet and pulling on the end. And we'll release that fold. If you're using the strap, leaving it wrapped around the bottom of your left foot and pulling your right foot out, bending the right knee and then letting that knee open out to the right side for Janu Shirshasana. You can prop the knee if you like. Placing one hand on either side of the left leg, turning the chest to face the leg, inhale, lengthen, exhale to fold, reaching for your foot, strap, or anywhere along the leg. You can take a cross grip with your hands if you like, reaching for opposite sides of the foot or leg with your hands, centering the chest over the left leg. And we'll release coming up. Bringing the right knee up, we'll step that foot up and over to the outside of the left thigh. You can leave your left leg straight or you can bend it underneath you. Hugging the knee with the left arm, the right arm comes behind us for a twist. So you can stay hugging your knee in from the outside, or you can bring your elbow past your knee, or if you want, you can bind this pose. And we'll release. Extending the right leg out long, bending the left knee, letting that knee open out to the left side. Again, you can prop the knee. You can set up a strap around the bottom of your right foot, placing one hand on either side of the right leg, turning the chest to face the leg, inhale to lengthen, exhale to fold, reaching for the foot, strap, or anywhere along the leg. Maybe taking a cross grip with your hands. And we'll release coming up. Bringing the left knee up, we'll step that foot up and over. Keeping your right leg straight or bending underneath you, hugging the knee with the right arm. The left arm comes behind us and we twist. And again, we can stay hugging our knee. We can bring the elbow past the knee or we can bind the pose. And release. All right, uncrossing the legs and we'll roll it all the way down onto the back. So you can hold on to the back of the knees to help you down, or you can challenge your core by not holding on and trying to go down nice and slow, tucking the chin into the chest. Once you're down, hugging the knees into the chest. Let's do some of those little rocks from side to side. Placing hands on kneecaps and circling them around, first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Returning to center, hugging the right knee and releasing the left leg, giving that right knee a squeeze. Extending that right leg up, pointing and flexing the foot a few times. Circling that foot around, first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Grabbing anywhere along the leg or using a strap, pulling that right leg in towards you for a hamstring stretch. Your left leg may be bent. Or you can straighten that leg out along the floor. Extending the right leg out towards the right side. Keeping your left side on the mat so you can put your left hand onto your hip to kind of hold it down or activate the muscles in your left leg. And then we'll take that right leg up and across the body over to the left, reaching that right arm out into a T, keeping your right shoulder on the mat, maybe also looking down that right arm. And releasing, bring the right leg back up, bending both knees, crossing the right ankle over the left thigh for a figure four stretch, reaching the right arm between the legs and pulling on the left leg. So you can grab onto the back of the thigh or the front of your shin, and we'll line that left knee up with the left shoulder. Releasing the right foot, hugging the left knee in. Reaching that left leg up, point and flex your foot. And circle it around for one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Grabbing anywhere along the leg or using your strap, pulling the left leg in for a hamstring stretch, right leg may be bent or straight. Extending that left leg out towards the left side, keeping your right side on the mat. Taking that left leg up and across the body over to the right. Extending the left arm out into a T, keeping the left shoulder on the mat, maybe looking down that left arm. And releasing, bringing the left leg back up. Bending both knees, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, reaching the left arm through and pulling on the right leg, lining that right knee up with your right shoulder. And release, hugging the knees into the chest, extending arms out into a T. Either dropping both knees to your right, or if you want, you can cross your left leg over your right thigh first, and then take the knees to the right, keeping both shoulders on the mat, maybe looking down your left arm. And we'll release and switch sides. If you cross the legs one way, cross them the other way, taking those knees over to the left. And release. Uncrossing the legs if they're crossed, hugging the knees into the chest, giving them a nice squeeze. And releasing. So preparing for Shavasana, final relaxation. So if you want to take a moment to put any layers back on, socks, sweatshirts, you want to grab a blanket or any other props that you might want for your meditation today, just whatever you need to make yourselves comfortable. And then just settling into any comfortable position you choose. I could figure out that the sweatshirt, that would be good. There we go, got it. Closing the eyes and slowing down the breath. Allow yourself to get comfortable. Remember a time when you felt truly relaxed and content, peaceful and calm. Breathe deeply as you reflect upon these special moments. Breathe deeply and allow yourself to drift mentally to your favorite vacation spot. One you've been to before, or a new one, or even an imaginary vacation spot. Allow your breath and relaxation to carry you to this special place. Your favorite vacation spot could be a secluded forest cabin or a geodesic dome containing a miniature world floating in space. It could be a vacant island beach or a local park. You need not be in an exotic place to relax. In your mind's eye, picture this special spot, noticing everything about it, bringing to your mind everything associated with it. Now step into the picture. Relax as you settle comfortably into the space. Imagine the view from this place, the scents, the people or lack of people around you, the temperature, what you're wearing, and especially how clear you feel while here. There are no deadlines here, no responsibilities, or unwelcome intrusions. Perhaps your most pressing worry is whether or not you have the right sunscreen on. Or perhaps you're wondering why you don't come here more often. Harness this relaxed feeling. You have the ability to carry it with you. Keep this relaxed feeling as you awaken and hold on to your vacation as a permanent attitude which you carry around. And we'll start to wiggle fingers and toes, circling ankles and wrists. And reaching the arms up overhead to stretch and release. And either rolling to one side or hugging the knees into the chest, taking a few deep breaths before you make your way up to seated. Finding your way into any comfortable seat you choose to finish your practice this evening. Sitting up nice and tall and dropping the chin to the chest. Taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. And left ear to left shoulder. Bringing the head up, taking the hands behind the head, looking all the way up. And release. Taking 3 deep breaths, inhaling arms up. And exhaling them down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. One more time, inhaling it up. Bringing the hands together at heart center as we exhale. Delight in me honors delight in you. Namaste.